different areas.
You have a website now,
Yes.
freethegrandchildren.com. What's the purpose of that website?
The initial purpose was to offer other grandparents help. My case had gone on for so long, and it's very hard to deal with not seeing your grandchild, especially when you've raised them and loved them. And it's like having your own child, except it's removed once and you don't have the direct responsibilities. So it's very heart-wrenching to just have somebody yanked out of your life. And these grandparents, they have nowhere to turn to. Most of the time, they don't have enough money. One grandparent I knew did have a lawyer. She spent about $17,000, and she still didn't have a granddaughter back. But there's all kinds of different issues that go along with it. But I think the biggest issue is that the courts are immune. They can do things, and whether you have a lawyer or you're pro se. But this, my website offers...
Tell us, what will people find on? I was just going to ask you what people would find on it.
First, there's the stories. This on the left side, there's a column: laws, links, stories. It can link you straight up to the State House and all the different state reps. It has stories on it. I don't have it right in front of me. I was very discouraged because I pretty much dismissed my case. So I was going to just take the website off, and I asked Kevin Morris, who designed the website, to see how many hits there were. Now, this was back in September, and he said there was 4,000 hits. So I said, okay, I'll keep it going. But because I'm computer illiterate, it made it difficult. So I would just update. There's updates on it for people that want to see what's going on. I put laws right onto there. I have a couple of bills that I tried to get into the House and hopefully get passed.
How did you go about doing that?
The bills?
What did you do?
I contacted the state rep, and I was involved with the...
Mr. Bradley? Or?
Yes, Garrett Bradley, and he had an assistant, Michael Salerno, that was in direct contact. I only spoke to Garrett Bradley maybe once in a year. And I was sending in so much information to them. After a year, I was very disillusioned.
But they did try for you.
It's very hard to say. I was disillusioned. I've been doing so many things, it's hard to keep track of. Yeah, I sent in a bill, and
They wrote the legislation for you. They introduced it.
Yes, I got it in on time. It was supposed to be in December 4th of this year. It was Call for Justice Act. What I was doing was citing two separate laws. One law saying that the judges have to uphold the law, comply with the law, be faithful to it. And then we have another law in the books, the Constitution. Let me see, Article 1. I didn't bring my reading glasses tonight, sorry. The Constitution. Well, anyway, this law says that the courts are immune to whatever they do. So how can you have two separate laws, one saying that the judges have to uphold the law, and the other law saying that they're immune to the law? I don't get it.
A lot of us discuss the issue of judicial immunity and find ways that we're looking for ways to take away some of that immunity, and some of that immunity actually has been taken from them. They're immune for suits for money damages, but they're not immune for what they call injunctive relief, like injunctions, restraining orders, that sort of thing. I just wanted to go on, since we are making a lot of progress here, I wanted to ask, from your experiences, each of you, would you prefer the system in which judges are elected, or would you prefer them the way they are to be appointed by the governor? James?
I see evils in both systems. Obviously, we have a crony system in Massachusetts. I don't know that there isn't a single judge in Massachusetts that didn't in some fashion buy his seat. It's corrupt. But if we elect judges, ultimately that depends on the people. It's very, very easy for a demagogue judge or a demagogue candidate for a judge to appeal to a mob mentality and get himself elected, even though he's not really fit for office. I think what I'd like to see in selection of judges is we have a jury system for judges. What I mean by that is, all of us are called every now and then to do jury duty without regard as to our profession or whether we're nice people or not. We're all called to do jury duty periodically. I'm going this month, or next month, as a matter of fact. In the same fashion, I would like to see us draft lawyers to be judges for 2-year stints. And we could pay those lawyers that are drafted to be judges an average of their of how much money they've earned for the past 3 years. So we're not going to hurt them in their pocketbook. But we will pick them at random, and they will leave their office after a couple of years. We'll make it so that a lawyer has to have been a lawyer for 10 years. He has to have been litigating in a certain area for 10 years, and there will be a pool of such attorneys for a particular judgeship, and one of them will get drafted every 2 years. I'd like to see that. That would, I think, guarantee that judges would be impartial.
Andrew, would you rather elect them or have them appointed?
I agree with Mr. Nolet that there's advantages and disadvantages to both. I don't know if I'd want them elected either. I know some states appoint judges for a specific shorter period of time than their life, say 10 years. And
California's such a place.
most states are.
Mm-hmm.
Joanne, what do you think after you've been through all these levels of courts?
Before I even make the decision, I would like to see the courts accessible to every person. It's like going into a place and there's a foreign language all over the wall. You know,
Well, the law is like a foreign language.
it is a foreign language.
Shouldn't really be hard to find. I was saying, it should be, the law should be user-friendly, and I think that's what, troubles people such as yourself. In fact, sometimes it troubles lawyers. I mean, if you look at that Internal Revenue Code, it's several thousand pages long, and most lawyers can't figure it out. You ask the IRS to explain the Internal Revenue Code to you, you can get 3 different opinions from 3 different IRS agents as to what it means. You can go to highly paid people who are both CPAs and tax attorneys who charge you like $200 an hour to work on your taxes. And they'll give you differing opinions, differing advice, and because the law is not user-friendly. Why should we have to pay tax attorneys and CPAs enormous amounts of money to do our taxes for us when, why should we have to pay for justice? And I mean, these are questions that I think we have to encourage in the public forum, in the marketplace of ideas, that justice shouldn't be for sale. It shouldn't be for the person who can afford the Johnny Cochrans or the superstars of the profession, and it shouldn't even be necessary to hire any lawyer in a lot of cases. What you have now are people who prepare bankruptcy petitions as paralegals are threatened with jail for staying in their business. There is a turf fight going on, and what you 3 have in common is you invaded the lawyer's turf. You did it for yourselves, for better or for worse, and you've lived to talk about it. So any final comments?
I wouldn't vote for either side. I'm disillusioned with the court system.
What do you think, what view do you have of the legal profession?
After my experience, I would kiss every lawyer's feet. It's very difficult to going into the courtroom and deal with all this.
Do you have respect and awe for lawyers after all this?
Yes, I understand why they go on vacations a lot.
I think I have something of an optimistic word to say about this whole issue in general. When I was a boy, I used to equate doctors and lawyers as the law profession and the medical profession as being professions that were on a par with one another, where it took the same intellectual strength to master the one as it might the other. I'm not of that opinion anymore. I think it takes a far brighter person to become a good doctor than it does a good lawyer. The law, it's written in the Old Testament, ultimately is not in the heavens where it's beyond our reach, or at the bottom of the ocean where it's beyond our reach. The law is accessible. It can be accessed by someone with ordinary intelligence who is able to read English and who has enough self-discipline and patience to sit down and follow a process from step A, B, C, D. I realize that writing a court pleading is a very daunting task at the outset, but as Confucius said, a long march of however many miles or whatever unit they used in China, it starts with the first step. One step is easy. The next step is easy. Just go from one step to the next, and eventually the job will get done. And pro se litigants have two big advantages over attorneys. Number one is our time is lots cheaper than an attorney's time is. And we can keep going back to court, and it doesn't bankrupt us, but it can bankrupt another side if we're going in a civil matter. And secondly, we understand our cases far better than any attorney can ever understand who is representing us. So let's not forget this.
Could I add a third to that?
Yes.
You can speak your mind, and you don't have to worry about coming before the same judge again, like a lawyer does. They hold back, right?
Wonderful
I
point.
think they have my picture in the security booth in Dedham. They don't treat me very well at the probate court in Dedham, so. The guards follow me around when I go in there. Andy, is there anything else you wanted to say?
I'm optimistic also. Again, I think I agree that the law is supposed to be graspable. Our system of law is called common law, and it's based on the fact that if you just understand other cases that have come before yours, meaning just read the opinions, you should be able to determine or understand enough about the law to know how your case should go. And then if you have a strong case, you should be able to prevail on your own. It's not rocket science. And it's based on common sense.
I should point out that you are an MIT-trained mathematician,
So
and you are a chemist,
Correct.
and those are both figuratively hard sciences and literally hard sciences.
I'll tell you a little story to that effect.
I'm qualified to say it's not rocket science.
I took an examination for the Federal Civil Service once called the PACE exam, and I got an interview with the Social Security Administration. I don't work for them, but I got an interview with them at one point. And there was a three-person panel who was looking at my credentials, and they said, you studied chemistry, and then you went and studied music, and then you went and did this other thing. You studied computers. What's the connection between these things? And there was one man on the panel who understood. All of these things were sequential things. All of these things involved going from step A to B, C, D, and so forth, doing it in the proper order and doing each step correctly. So I was really exercising my mind in the same way the entire time. It just happened to be sometimes in different fields. And I think the law is the same way.
You can understand it and you can go in pro se, but when you run into things that happen that are out of your hand, like, you know, the judges making wrong decisions, I was given a criminal record and I proved my case and he refused to, I mean, even when you do the best, it doesn't